Hi everybody, welcome back to This Is How We Roll. I keep promising you guys I'm going to show you what we're cooking. So today I'm going to do that. We're actually hoping the weather holds out. It's a little sketchy looking out here. Calling for rain this afternoon, but we thought we'd try to get the smoker going and throw some ribs on that I've had in the fridge marinating for 2 days. So let me flip the camera around. Alright, so we got our smoker set up out here. Here's the my little baby smoker. It's a Brinkman Smoke and Grill. Don't think they make them anymore. It's not the, most expensive smoker, but man, this thing does a great job. Everything comes out really, really tasty. So you can see in the very bottom there, we got the charcoal already fired up. It's getting nice and hot. There's a pan. I don't get too close, but you can see there's a charcoal pan. On top of the charcoal pan, you put the water pan, and you fill this with water to keep everything moist. So that goes in. I know how much people love that word moist, so I thought I'd use it. So this pan goes in on top with the water in it. You can also put things in the water if you want to kind of give it a little bit of a extra flavor. We usually just put water, but you can add things to give it a little flavor in there. We also do some wood chips. Got some wood chips soaking over here, which we throw in with the charcoal to add in that nice smoky flavor. So we're getting ready to get this going. As you can see, there's the lid, and then we have our little charcoal starter, because the thing with this kind of a smoker, which is the reason it has this little door right here, is because you have to keep feeding the charcoal in. So we get this charcoal going on the fire pit, and then we add it through the little trap door there. So, all right, so I'm gonna check back with y'all in a little bit once we get things a little further along. Okay, while the charcoal is getting fired up outside, everything's getting ready out there, I wanted to show you my ribs I bought. I got these at Giant, baby back ribs, and I've had them in the fridge. I dry rubbed them day before yesterday in the evening, so it's been a little more than 24 hours. And you can see they're getting nice and flavorful here. This liquid in the bottom, I might pour that in the water pan just to add a little extra flavor to everything. I used, for this batch, I had bought a pre-mixed dry rub. I can't remember the brand. It's what it's called, Sweet and Smoky. It's very good. Sometimes I make my own. Sometimes I just use store-bought. Before I put these on, I'll probably add a little bit fresh cracked black pepper to them. I also added when I started marinating them, I added some brown sugar, because I like a little extra sweetness on my ribs, on my dry rub. So like I said, I'll add a little bit of black pepper to these, maybe a little salt before we throw them on. But they're looking really good. I might even dust them with a little bit more of that dry rub before they go on the smoker. Okay, ribs are all doctored up here. I just added a little bit more of this Grill Mates Sweet and Smoky rub. It's not bad. I like making my own rub better. But this one's not bad, and I had bought it a while back and I wanted to use it up, so I added some of that. And then I like to add my own seasonings also, so I added a little bit of garlic, a tiny bit of salt, not much salt because this rub has a lot of salt in it, and then some fresh cracked black pepper. And as soon as the smoker is ready to go, we will put these on, and I will come back and video some more. So keep you updated with the process. All right, it's time to put the ribs on, which I'm going to do in just a second, and then I'll show you what that looks like. We got the charcoal ashed over, we got the water pan in, and you can see it's giving us a nice amount of smoke. Wanna hold that, babe? Okay. All right, got ribs started. They usually take a couple hours, depends on how big the ribs are. My test is I like to wiggle the bone, one of the bones, and if it wiggles freely, you can feel it moving around, that means they're probably done. I usually check them after about 3 to 4 hours. I keep an eye on them to see how they look. After about 3 hours, I start checking them. All right, so we're gonna close this thing up and let them have their smoke time. So
Want to get the temperature?
Yep. So the smoke and grill is doing its thing. You can see the smoke has kind of died down a little bit. This thing has the most ridiculous temperature gauge, warm, ideal, and hot. So we did our own little modification. We put a little instant read thermometer up here, which is kind of hard to read at the moment, but it's saying it's a little above 220. So it's probably around 230, which is actually pretty good. A little warm for the ribs, but not too bad. All right, so Spencer's gonna add a little bit of wood to this, which he soaked. Yep, so it's wet. Gives off more smoke that way. And he just uses the little shovel and shovels it into the smoker there. And then he's gonna start up a new batch of charcoal, because probably in about an hour we'll have to add more charcoal to this. Usually once it gets around 200 degrees, actually below 200. 200 is a good temp to keep it going at. But we're trying to get these done a little quicker today because of the potential for storms today. So we're trying to get this done a little faster. So we're going a little hot. You can see it's already starting to smoke. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, there it is. See, the smoke from the wood is already showing up there. So he started the next batch of charcoal. We got our wood chips in, so we are rocking and rolling.
We're cooking.
Please ignore the crazy hair. Campground hair, don't care. Okay, so I started the video about smoking my ribs, which are still cooking out there. One thing I wanted to talk about, I get asked by a lot of people when they're making something. My students will know this. If any of them are subscribed and watching, my ex-students will know my answer is always, how long do you cook something till it's done, is my answer. When you think about cooking anything, whether it's a baked good or a piece of meat of some sort, size is a huge factor. Size matters when it comes to cooking. If you have a steak that's this thick, it's going to take a different amount of time than a steak that's this thick. So one of the things that I like to explain when I'm talking to people about cooking or teaching people about cooking is use your best judgment. Don't use a chart that tells you how long to cook something. My ribs, I have them running about 225, maybe even up 250. They're beyond the read on the thermometer, so they could be a little hotter than that. Oh, honey's coming in. They could be a little hotter than 225. So I like to start with the minimum amount of time, and they're not huge ribs. So for me, the minimum that I start checking them is around 3 hours. Usually they're not done at 3 hours. Usually by 4 hours, depending on the size, 5 hours, 6 hours. Sometimes they do take that long. But at this higher temperature, I'm guessing they'll be done around the 4 hour mark. There's a couple different ways to check them. You can insert an instant read thermometer, which is challenging with ribs because they're not thick. So you have to kind of insert it sideways into the meat because it has to be, about this far in for it to actually read. So, make sure you put the thermometer in sideways. If you stick it through, it's only going to go in about this far. It's not going to read. I do have a surface thermometer temperature reader, which you can use, but it's going to give me the surface. I really want to know what the internal temperature is. The other way with ribs, and a lot of times when you have something like if you're roasting a chicken, anything that has bones, one way to check is to grab one of the bones, like a leg on a chicken or a turkey, and wiggle it. And you can feel if it's really loose, that typically means that it's done. With ribs, you'll feel those, how you eat ribs and they just kind of pull apart. You pull the bone and everything just kind of comes apart.
That's what you're looking for. So if that bone is loose, Liza, shush. If that bone is loose, that typically means that they're about ready to come off the smoker. It's hard to overdo ribs. You can overdo them, but it's really challenging. They are a fattier, type of meat, depending what type of ribs you get. But they do have a higher fat content than, like, let's say a steak. So there's a lot of extra fat on them. In them that will melt out. So it does keep them very tender. You can overcook them, but it is challenging to overdo ribs unless you keep them on for a really long time. But again, I like to use the trick of just wiggling one of the bones to see if it feels loose, and if it does, sous chef Spence in the background here. If it does, that typically means that it's done. Also, I always look at things to tell if they're done. Obviously, you could see your ribs or brisket or whatever you have on the smoker, your pork butt. You want to wait till it gets that nice, that nice beautiful crust on it. Like I do a lot of pork boneless Boston butts on my smoker, which is basically a pork shoulder. I love doing those. Those are huge, and they take on my smoker between 10 and 12 hours usually, depending on the size. It takes a really long time for those. The other thing too is if you don't have enough time to finish, like today, they're calling for storms. So we tried to get these started before the storms came into the area. So if we don't get them finished, we can always put them in the oven and finish them off. So if the storm comes through and we end up, with pouring down rain, you can't smoke with the weather like that, we can pull them off and pop them in the oven and finish them. You can use a smoker in a light rain, like a drizzle. But if it's pouring, you don't want to be out there in that. So Spence is keeping up with filling the water pan and refilling the charcoal. He's already refilled the charcoal once, and he's actually going to be probably getting some more started in a little bit for round 2 to put more charcoal in. Because the one thing with the charcoal smoker, you do have to keep feeding that in, because that charcoal that you put in initially is not going to last for the whole smoke. So just wanted to keep you updated, give you a little information. It's, like I said, one of the things that people ask me all the time is about how long to cook things. As a cook, you need to learn to use your senses, your sense of sight, smell, touch, and those things to be able to kind of figure out if things are ready to come off the grill. Whether you're cooking them inside, outside, whether you're grilling, smoking, sauteing, whatever. Use your senses to help you figure that out. You can't always use the time that it says on a recipe. Example, one of my favorite recipes is Betty Crocker's chocolate chip cookies. She has the best recipe for chocolate chip cookies. But you can't go by what the time says. If you're scooping bigger cookies and I'm scooping smaller cookies, it's going to take totally different amount of time. So it's really important. Excuse the barking dog in the background. He's just not stopping. So it's really important to keep that in mind, that everything you do is going to be a different amount of time. So don't ever follow the guidelines. If you're following the guidelines on a recipe for the time, I always start with the minimum. If it says 20 to 30 minutes, stop it at 18 and check it. Stop, just to be safe. So my point is, don't always, go by what the directions tell you. All right, I'm going to stop now so you don't have to listen to my barking dog. Hopefully it wasn't too annoying listening to her. She is really cute for an annoying dog, though. You want to see how cute she is? Look how cute she is. She's such a brat, but she's very cute. All right, guys, I'll update you on the ribs in a little bit. All right, well, our 3 hours are up. Our ribs have been on for 3 hours, which now is usually the time that I check them to see how they look. Unfortunately, we ran out of charcoal. We thought we had more, and we don't. So I'm not going to check them because I don't want to take the lid off. I don't want to take the smoke and the heat out. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a few more wood chips, let it burn a little bit, and we're going to leave them on until the grill, gets too cool where it's not really contributing any heat to the ribs anymore. And then we're going to bring them in and we'll check them, and then we'll probably have to pop them back in the oven. But as soon as we get them off and bring them in, I'll give you a look so you can see how they look at the 3 hour mark. Well, it'll be 3+ hours at that point. After a bumpy day of cooking here, we got the ribs in the oven. I put them on
at 325 after I coated them with some barbecue sauce. I did not make my sauce this time. I usually do make my own, but I got Kinders because Giant was having a special. If you buy ribs, you got the sauce, some coleslaw, and some cornbread mix for free. So I doctored up the coleslaw, drained some of the liquid out of the store coleslaw, and added a jalapeno and some fresh lime juice and some lime zest to it. So that should be delicious because I love cilantro. Jalapeno, lime, coleslaw, added jalapeno to it, not cilantro. I do sometimes add cilantro, but I didn't this time. But the ribs were in for about an hour at 325 after being on the smoker for several hours. And I just wanted to kind of zoom in here. And you can see that juicy rib. And it looks amazing. I can't wait to taste them. I'll let you know how they are after we taste them. Well, I'm working on the video of the ribs. I'm putting it together, editing, doing all the editing to it. And I realized at the end, I said the one video, I said, I'll let you know how they are. Well, we ate them a week ago, and they were delicious. I did not make a video of us eating them. I realized that after they were gone. But they were very good. They were very tender, very juicy. They had a great smoke flavor, so that, time they were on the smoker, even though it wasn't the full cook time, it genuinely added plenty of smoke flavor to them. They were very good, as was my doctored up coleslaw and my cornbread out of a box. But it was very good. It was a nice deal at Giant that we got. It was inexpensive. You got the ribs were on sale, plus you got all the free stuff. It was definitely a good meal. It was fun to make. Spence loves getting involved with the smoking on the smoker. He loves playing with fire. So it's a fun way to spend an afternoon if you don't have anything to do and you just want to make something delicious. So we really enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like if you like the video, and please subscribe to our channel. We're trying to get those numbers up there, but also keep following us so you can see what we're doing, where we're going, where we've been, and what's cooking. Thank you for watching.